Continue. On this day 25 years ago in the Rugby World Cup Final held at Ellis Park in Johannesburg on the 24th of June, South Africa defeated New Zealand 15-12 with Joel Stransky scoring a drop goal in extra time to win the match. I began our conversation by asking him yesterday whether he gets tired of talking about that drop goal.
You're right, Elena. I mean, it has been a number of times, but what is probably most important is this time of year, every 5 years, on the big anniversaries like this it becomes a real talking point, and it's always such a pleasure to talk about it, and such a privilege. It was such a special time. So to sit down and chat about it is it's great reward, really. It's certainly not cumbersome in any way.
So take us through that moment. How did you feel that morning before the match?
Yeah, so we were obviously a little bit nervous. It's a World Cup final, and if you're not nervous, then you're definitely not normal. I think it's probably the easiest way to describe it. We got up early and we had our little morning short run and did some stretching and started just getting a little focused, and then breakfast, and we had some other celebs and sportsmen come and have breakfast with us and wish us luck. So the build up was quite an amazing build up. Particularly when we looked out the windows and we looked out the window of the bus and we saw how this Rainbow Nation had come together and supported us in such great fashion.
You didn't get overwhelmed. I mean, to have that kind of support, you guys just seem to take it all in your stride, which is quite unusual because at that time, rugby was still an amateur sport.
Yeah, but I think as much as it was amateur, we had a real professional attitude, and we had great leadership, great management, and wanted to see in Kitch Christie. And I think what happens in that situation is those around you take the pressure off you, and they keep you focused on your role, and you actually almost find yourself in a place where you can sit back and actually take in some of those sights on the way to the ground when you see the crowds and the fans and even the taxis with Springbok and South African flags waving out the windows. It's not overwhelming, it's inspiring, and I think it could be. I think if you didn't have that management and you didn't have that mature attitude, guiding you, some people might find it overwhelming. But for us, it was just such a privilege, to see this great wave, this great groundswell of support coming our way, and then obviously Madiba, wearing his Springbok shirt. Those are the little things that live on forever.
Okay, so take us through that moment. I mean, obviously it was just an incredible final. You scored all the points, 12 all, then extra time, and then that drop goal.
Yeah, so it was one of those games. It was just tight and hard fought, and in fact, I had a discussion with Andrew Mertens a couple of days ago, and we were chatting about exactly this, how both of us realized that it was going to be, the odd penalty or the odd drop goal or the odd kick that won this game. And he kicked a drop goal in normal time, I kicked a drop goal in normal time. And we knew it was going to be a tight, hard-fought affair. As soon as we realized we could stop Jonah Lomu, it was always going to be tight and hard. We got down into extra time. We trained really hard. Kitch had always made sure we were the fittest side at the Rugby World Cup. We got into that extra time and we felt good. We felt strong. We believed that we had the strength to go on and take this, that we were starting to dominate it a little bit more. And they kicked a goal, we kicked a goal, and then there were 5 or 6 minutes left and we had the chance to get points. We called a back row move and we looked up and saw how they were defending and we changed the move and as they say, that was that. But fortunately, the kick was a good one.
Did you feel it when it came off the boots?
So, it's the one thing I've always said. I wish I could have kicked every kick in my whole career as sweetly as I kicked that one. It was, I suppose, lots of hard work and practice, and the culmination of all of that came together on that one moment just perfectly. I struck it the best I could ever have hit it, and looked up and saw it was rotating perfectly and sailing true, and we turned and ran back. I did have a little glance just to make sure though, but I hit it sweet.
So I want to know, do you think there was a waitress, Susie?
I don't think so. I mean, we laugh and joke about it at times, and I don't think Susie exists, but I do think that the Kiwis, snuck out the hotel and maybe a couple of them ate something they shouldn't have eaten, and and one or two of them weren't feeling great in the build-up to the final. But, as Andrew Merton said in the last couple of days, that it's certainly when they ran on the field, they were fit and strong and healthy, and they played the game to the best of their ability, and they were beaten on the day by a side that just, might not be better, but got the better of them on the day at that moment.
Who would you say was the most talented player in your squad at the time?
Joost van der Westhuizen.
And the funniest?
So, look, I think the funniest was a combination of Kobus Wiese and Bali Swart at each other, because when they sat together and when they were together, they were a very funny couple. But the question of who's the most talented is a very unfair question, I've got to tell you that, because it was such a talented squad. If I run through that team, every player in their position, Andre Joubert, the Rolls Royce of fullbacks, James Small, Chester Williams, Jaapie and Henny, Joost, I can go through everyone, all the forwards, Mark Andrews, one of the greats, Francois, Ruben Kruger, every single player was just a sensational player. But Joost, for me, pound for pound, his ability to change a game would be the answer to that question. And I want to caveat that because I don't want the other guys to think, that they're not in that league. But Joost is the one who just stands out a fraction.
Yeah. How often did you practice drop goals in the build-up to the World Cup and then obviously during the World Cup?
So I think it's something that every fly-off in the world does practice. Maybe not as much as the goal kicking or your general play kicking, because they are required a whole lot more in the game than drop kicks. But every kicking session, I would kick a few, and I kicked one. I kicked one in the opening game. So it wasn't something that was. And in fact, in our last warm-up game before the World Cup, we beat Western Province with a last-minute drop goal as well. So it was something that was part of our our suite of talents, but I wouldn't say it was something that we worked really hard on until the Thursday before the World Cup final. And then Kitch said to me, the forwards were having a line-out session, and I'd gone down to do some extra kicking, and he said to me, why don't you kick more drop goals? And at the time I thought to him, geez, you make it sound so easy, and not that easy when Zinzan Brook and Mike Brewer and Andrew Mertens and Bashop are trying to charge you down and you're under pressure. But he planted the seed. And so on that Thursday, I kicked a whole lot more. On the Friday at Ellis Park, I kicked a whole lot more on that perfect surface. So there was a fair bit of work that went into it. We didn't have a set drop goal strategy. We didn't have a play that we're going to hit it here, hit it there, and then drop in the pocket and kick it. It was, but certainly the drop goal was part of the thinking.
There is something awesome that's happening on the 25th anniversary, and that is 140,000 masks that are being made available. Can you tell us a little bit about these Springbok supporters face masks?
By pure chance, I've got mine sitting here with me. By absolute pure chance, I'll hold it up to the camera. So, it is a beautiful mask. You can see the World Cup logos, and it's to commemorate all 3 World Cup victories. Okay. But really, it's our 25-year anniversary. We can't have a gathering. We would have had a gathering and a function and raise money for charity, and we can't do that. So we had to sit down and say, right, how can we do something good? What good can come out of this? And so we've, in conjunction with Pick and Pay, we've got our own commemorative mask. And the great thing is, it's not just ours. It is the 2007 and 2019 Rugby World Cup finals and victories are commemorated there as well. It's being sold in Pick and Pay. They are relatively inexpensive at, I think, 49 Rand for an adult one and 45 Rand for a child's mask. Every cent raised goes to the Place Fund, the Chris Berger Petra Jackson Place Fund, who are in desperate need. They look after about 100, and I can't remember the exact number, but over 100 of rugby's casualties. And obviously this year with COVID-19, they've had no opportunity to raise money to support this unbelievable cause. So this is our little cause. Hopefully this week we'll raise, by selling all these masks, over R1 million for the fund, and it'll keep them going a bit. So come on out there and support us, buy the mask.
And to conclude our sport, the trivia question that we asked you in the first hour related to Joel Stransky, because it's the 25th anniversary of that Rugby World Cup victory for the Springboks, their first one ever. So we asked you, when did Stransky play his last match for the Springboks, and what was the result? Here's what you had to say on Twitter at Morning Live SABC. Grant, who's a Man United supporter, says a 15-12 Box versus All Blacks 1995. Yes, that was the score in the final. We were asking when was the last test match that Stransky played. Siabulela says, good morning. It was against New Zealand, 96. We lost the game. It was in 96, you're right, and it was against New Zealand. Results isn't incorrect, though. Jeremy Garland, 1995, I suppose you're saying New Zealand 15-12 for South Africa. Morning Valence says, Rubs, good morning to you. 31st of August 1996, it was at Ellis Park. And yes, thanks for your comprehensive answer. You're absolutely correct. The Springboks did win by 10 points. And that was Joel Stransky's last match. He was a replacement in that game. And you know that he actually scored only 3 drop goals in the green and gold for the Springboks, and all of them at that 1995 Rugby World Cup. Thanks to everybody that got involved. Have a great Wednesday ahead. Stay with the show. We'll be back after this.
Sinalanga ndifitane makwava from Shawela. So ndiko shoma security ndingapha awuchi that golo is SABC ziko dolugisiwa ndaba na interest yore ezithu ezizo ndi Jeneka radio ndingazwitisana. Then ndatangana na this guy over technician yawone SABC na yambutso no mfethu thomani ngazituku then ni doura ni switch somewhere. Today ndiko rana an online radio station which is called Shawela Radio to make difference and to bring change ka community yasho.
The 37 million rand controversial border fence caught the attention of lawmakers after it was vandalized a few days after construction.
Is the quality of the fence best given the value of the money?
I asked who did the due diligence. The answer is the department. I'm not looking for a department. I know it's the department. I'm looking for a person or persons.
We have been proactive to seek the investigations and the assistance of the Auditor General.
Something is not right. Something is amiss. The pieces of the puzzle don't seem to be fitting.
We live in a new high-tech environment. Because of technology, some of the world's wealthiest people are tech entrepreneurs. Tech is how we play and how we work. For your tech conversation, join me, Phumelele Zondi, on Network every Sunday at 8:30 p.m.
Politics.
All 14 political parties in South Africa represented in Parliament have put their political and ideological...
The economy.
There is no need for us to be using unconventional tools at the moment.
Current affairs.
The National Coronavirus Command Council has decided to enforce a nationwide lockdown.
There are no waters we won't charter on your behalf. Good evening, I'm Aldrin St. Pierre, and this is Unfiltered.